breaking down a few of my takeaways from training camp day 2 for the Houston Rockets. Like I said, I was out there today to take a look at it, and then we were able to get a lot more footage today. So I'll definitely give you some interesting takes on what I saw while I was out at today's practice.
To Smith, Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got it!
We are here at Field Rockets, and this is the Rockets Field Podcast. I am your host, LaShar Binkley. You can always find me on Twitter X at Binkley Hoops, or you can find my written work over on Rockets on SI, which of course is part of Sports Illustrated. And we are sponsored by Bet Online and presented by the Believe Network. And on today's show, I'll be breaking down a few of my takeaways from training camp day 2. We were actually able to get a lot more coverage today on the Rockets practice. Yesterday was more, I don't think we were really able to give the last few minutes. It was mainly shoot around. They were practicing free throws and things like that. Today, we were actually able to see them work on each court. It was 4 different groups going on the 4 half courts. We were able to see a lot of their different drills they were working on. They were working on a lot of pick and roll defense today. They were also working on some individual defense. So it was really good to be able to get a lot more coverage today, a lot more footage. And if you want to check out the entire footage, you can go definitely check it out on the YouTube page. It's up on there along with yesterday's coverage as well. So make sure you check that out. But like I said, today we was able to get in there a lot earlier. We were able to see everybody out on the court, including the coaches, running through all the different drills. So it definitely made a difference being able to see that. And just the number one thing, just right off the top that I want to talk about is what talking about the actual facility. Last year, yes, they were able to work on 2 courts out in Louisiana and in East State, but now they're able to do that at home. They're going to be spending a lot of time on this court. The only time they're actually going to be at the Toyota Center is during games or right before games. They're going to have shoot around. They're going to have practice. They're going to have all their different events are all going to be at this training facility, the new training facility that they are just opened up a few months ago. So that's going to make a huge difference. Even just starting in training camp, you're shooting at the same course for the majority of the season. You're able to get that practice in, and now you're able to do your training camp here. And like I said before, of course, I'm sure now you've seen the videos of the old practice court that the Rockets had, where it was just a 1 court. So a lot of times you would have players sitting on the side because they weren't able to get onto the court at the same time as other players. So they had to wait to do their drills. All the coaches couldn't be on the court at the same time. But now you have the 2 huge courts, as I'm sure you've seen in the video, all the players, all the coaching staff. And remember, it's not just, Ime Udoka or Ben Sullivan, Royal Ivy. It's not just those coaches. You have a whole huge coaching staff from player development coaches to trainers, and they're all able to fit on this court all at the same time with the players, with the media. Even saw Rafael Stone standing out there, and there's still plenty of room, man. If you go back and look at the video, and you're seeing some of it now, you can see like I'm having to span the camera from side to side really fast because it was so much room to cover. It's just a huge difference between last year when I was out at the practices and you barely was huddled up in the corner of the media where you can barely even get in there. So it makes a huge difference. And MA has talked about that as well, is being able to move from station to station a lot more quickly and to be able to have everybody practicing at the same time so you're not wasting time. And yeah, at the end of the day, this may not be the main reason why they win or lose games, but it's a huge factor as far as how they practice. And we all know that practice goes a long way in how you perform in the game. So it all ties in together, and it's going to make a difference one way or another. No matter how small it is, it's still going to make a difference this upcoming season. And I've been able to see that the first 2 days, especially today, how big of a difference it makes having this large court. And you also have the board, the data board up top next to the scoreboard that gives them all the data from how they're shooting for the shot release, how they're landing, if they're landing the correct way, even just running up and down the court, as far as to give them the speed of how they're running up and down the court, how many steps they're taking. If they're taking too many steps in between running up and down the court, it'll give them all that information. And it's another thing, that's something that they necessarily didn't have at the Toyota Center practice court. So all these things are going to add up. They're going to make a huge difference for the Rockets this season. So that's definitely the number one thing that stood out to me, at least the first thing that stood out to me. Another thing I mentioned earlier, we were practicing their pick and roll defense. On the far court, they were practicing where man would set the pick, they would get the ball back down to the center or the power forward, and then the Rockets were practicing having their guards guard the bigger guy, the center, the power forward. In this instance, I saw a lot of Amen guarding Jeff Green and Thon Maker, and he definitely stood out as far as him being able to go down and guard those guys. There was one instance where he was down there guarding Jeff Green. He was actually able to get the steal on Jeff Green. Now, Jeff Green did get the turnaround on him the next play where he was able to score, but there was several drills where Amen Thompson would come around come off the pick, and he was able to guard the bigger guy, and the coaches were loving it, and they were definitely giving him praise. And he was definitely a standout when it came to being able to guard that bigger guy. And that's something when we talked to him, he had mentioned about being able to guard 1 through 5. And Amen's going to be the Rockets' most versatile player. We saw it last season. Even in a shorter period of time he was out on the court, he was already one of the best defenders on the entire Rockets team. And his ability to be able to guard everywhere from Steph Curry all the way up to Joel Embiid is going to be a huge difference for the Houston Rockets this season. They already made a huge jump on defense last year. Now you gave another year experience for a player like Amen Thompson, and he's able to guard pretty much everybody on the court. And that's why I wanted to ask him when he came into the interview. I asked him how confident is he this season as far as being able to guard bigger guys, and this is a little bit of what he said.
Post-up defense off of switches. Do you feel like you're getting even more comfortable, playing against bigger guys in the post, being able to defend them?
Yeah, for sure. Last year I had to do that a couple times. So just the coach is helping me with that because I can switch to 1 through 5 sometimes. So.
And that was just a little bit of what he said. I have a full interview up on a YouTube page, but like he was just saying, be able to guard 1 through 5, and his confidence just seems kind of just through the roof this year. Not to say he wasn't confident last season, but now he seems a lot more comfortable when he's out on the court. I mean, even doing the interviews, not that that really matters as far as the game, but just doing the interviews, he just seems extremely confident, loose, like he's ready for the season already. And like I said, being able to just watch him on the other side, being able to guard bigger guys, Thon Maker's over 7 feet tall. I mean, Jeff Green, even though, he's not 7 feet tall, but he's still, 6'9", 6'10", been in the league for a while and still be able to play really good defense on a player like that. And to keep in mind, it wasn't just regular switches. They were following the center or power forward from one side of the court to the next and still being able to establish position. And none of the guys were able to knock Amen off of his block. He was able to stay exactly where he wanted to be. He was entrenched into his spot. It wasn't like anybody was backing him down and pushing him under the basket. You weren't seeing that at all with Amen when he's playing defense. So that's definitely something that stood out to me, was the great defense that he was playing even in practice in the drill that they were running on that side of the court. Another thing that kind of stood out to me was talking with Fred VanVleet. He had mentioned about the continuity with the team, something Ime also talked about, and I think that's something that's going to play a huge, make a huge difference when you're talking about starting the season and trying to get off to a good start. Is that continuity on the team, and this was Fred said when he was asked about that.
Huge advantage this year around. Last year I was trying to learn it and help put it in, help my teammates. And this time around, I feel pretty confident and comfortable with all the things that we're trying to do, and just staying in communication with the coaching staff and some of the key aspects we want to grow. I can help translate that to the team. And so far, it's been night and day difference for me coming in from a comfort standpoint.
And that cannot be overstated, because you got to remember last year, yes, he's a veteran. He was brought in to bring the veteran leadership. But you got to remember, he was trying to learn MA's system just like everybody else. So he was trying to learn a system, help out the young guys, bring that veteran leadership. And now this season, he doesn't have to worry about that as much, because now he got the system down. He's able to now be more of a, that coach on the floor that MA, really, started to see from him throughout the season. Now he can do that from the start of the season, and he can help guys like Reed Shepherd, or even still some of the younger guys. He can focus more on that, not necessarily have to focus on trying to learn a whole new offense, a whole new defensive system. So that's going to make a huge difference, and not just with Fred, but the entire team, because Rockets have pretty much the entire team, except for adding players like Reed Shepherd and Steven Adams actually being on the court this season. Now you have players that have been in the system for a full year that know exactly what MA wants to do. And also MA mentioned, several times where, he had to have more of a basic structure and basic offense and defense to start last season because a lot of players were trying to learn a new system. And now he's able to implement in that more advanced system early on this year. Instead of like last year was actually during the season when he started kind of adding plays. Now he can do that now because people, know exactly what to expect from his offense and his defensive game plan. So all that, factors in. That makes a huge difference. And I think that's something that, more people should be talking about, because I think that will help the Rockets get off to that start they need to be able to, make that jump from, a 19 improved team to now possibly a playoff team. So that's definitely something that stood out to me as well. Like I said, definitely keep an eye on that when you're looking at the Rockets, how they start next season, this upcoming season, and see how, a lot of that, if they start out really fast and really well, a lot of that you can kind of contribute to them being together for another year. And that's something that Fred was talking about there. And that's something that I think a lot more people need to pay attention to, because that could be a big difference to the start of the season. Again, if you want to see the full footage of, Fred talking, Amin talking, also MA talking, definitely is up on the YouTube page. And one more thing before we go, I wanted to talk about was MA. I asked MA, of course, you have your veteran leadership, like I was talking about with Fred, and then, Dylan, Jeff Green, players like that, even Steven Adams. Who some of the young guys had kind of stood out as far as, becoming more of a leaders on the team. And he was saying, yeah, it's kind of a learning process. They're still learning on the fly, but Jalen and Alper, of course, with them both being here the longest, they've definitely kind of started taking on more of that leadership role. We saw with Jalen over the summer, starting, hosting the players only mini camp. And he was just saying that, yeah, they're, they want them to take that next step and learn from those guys, because we all know, the Rockets are only going to go as far as Jalen and Alper and take them. Yes, it's great to have veterans on your team like Fred and Dylan and Steven, but the Rockets are only going to be as good as Jalen and Alper, if they take those next steps. If Jalen can be that great March play, if he can be that at the beginning of the season for an entire season, if Alper can take that step from being really good to an all-star, they're only going to go as far as those two guys take them. So them taking on more of a leadership role definitely will make a difference. And one other thing before I go, he was talking about, leadership, and he's talking about the young guy, but he also talked about Steven Adams. He said that, yeah, Steven Adams is already pulling players to the side. He's already making a difference, making his veteran presence felt. So that's something that stood out to him. He's already, getting in players' ears. He's already, showing exactly what every other team has seen, that he makes a team better. He's one of the best teammates in the league. You've heard it from everybody from Dylan Brooks all the way to Russell Westbrook, just talk about how great of a teammate he is. And he's already showing, and he's already paying dividends on, him coming over to the team, even though he hasn't officially played a game for the Rockets yet. He's already making a huge difference by helping out a lot of these young guys, by talking to them and, letting them know, exactly what they need to do and not to do. So that's another thing that, MA kind of just volunteered without us even having to ask him about Steven. So that will kind of tell you that the kind of type of player and person that Steven Adams is, that, he's going to make a team better regardless of what team he's with. So that definitely is another thing that stood out. Like I said, you can check out all the footage on the YouTube page. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about, some of the things that we learned from training camp day 2. Let me know if you're looking, a certain player that you're looking for to stand out. Also, one other thing you can see on the YouTube page is, and you see it a little bit here, is Reed Shepard towards the end of practice right before I was leaving. I was able to get video of him taking like 10 or 15 straight threes. He may have missed one, maybe two, and those 1 or 2 that he missed were barely even off the rim. So it's kind of amazing to watch it in person. It's the first time I've really been able to see him, watch him in person. His form is pretty much perfect. He shoots the exact same way every single time. He falls on, he lands on the court the exact same way every single time. So I would not be shocked if he's a 40% three-point shooter this year and be the #1 three-point shooter on the Rockets team, because his shot is definitely pure. And like I said, you can go check it out on the YouTube page. I got the entire shot sequence there where he's just barely missed, like I said, those 1 or 2 times. Other than that, everything else was just pure net. So that's, one other thing that just kind of just popped into my head right there. So like I said, definitely make sure you're liking the video. It helps us with the algorithm. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that comes by every single episode. I will be out again tomorrow for training camp day 3, bringing you all the latest footage. So like I said, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe so you can turn on those notifications so you'll know exactly when those videos drop. They're usually around midday. So definitely make sure that you're subscribing to the page. And as usual, we appreciate all support. And make sure you check out the next episode of Rocket Fuel Podcast.